Good day, everyone. Our topic for today is about Ge9, Life and Works of Rizal, Chapter 14, Rizal in London. After Rizal visiting to United States, he lived in London from May 1888 to March 1889. There are three reasons why Rizal chooses English City to be his new home. The first one is to improve knowledge of the English language because English is the universal language and that's what Rizal wants to improve. Second is to study and annotate Morga's Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. And the third one is that London was a safe place to carry his fight against Spanish tyranny. Trip across the Atlantic. Rizal was on board the SS City of Rome through a ship. So Rizal entertained the American and European passengers through a yo-yo, which is a small wooden disc attached to a string from a finger as a weapon. So on May 24, 1888, Rizal arrived at Adelphi Hotel, Liverpool, England, which he wrote a letter to his family that contains, "Liverpool is a big and beautiful city, and its celebrated port is worthy of its great fame. The entrance is magnificent, and the custom house is quite good." On May 25, 1888, Rizal went to London. He stayed as a guest at the home of Dr. Antonio Maria Rigidor. By the end of May, Rizal found a modest place at number 37 Chalcot Crescent, Primrose Hill. He boarded a place owned by the Becket family. The Becket family, Mr. Becket, organist of St. Paul Church, Mrs. Becket, his wife, and they have 2 sons and 3 daughters. They called Rizal a pearl of man, una perla de hombre, by Dr. Yin Rost. The picture here is the picture of Dr. Antonio Maria Rigador and the picture of the Becket family. Even though Rizal has in London, he also received news from home, a bad news and a good news. The bad news is the persecution of the Filipino patriots who signed the anti-friar petition on 1888. Persecution of the Calamba tenants. Third, furious attacks on Rizal by Senators Salamanca and Veda in the Spanish Cortes and Wenceslao Ritana and Pablo Fist in Spanish newspaper. Fourth one, a friend of Rizal, Laureano Viado, a medical student of the University of Santo Tomas, was arrested in jail in the Libid prison because of the copies of knowledge that were found in his house. The fifth one is Rizal's brother-in-law, who is Manuel T. Hidalgo, husband of Saturnina, was exiled by Governor General Weyler to Bohol without due process of law. Good news from home. One good news cheered Rizal, and that was Reverend Vicente Garcia's defense of Danuli against the attacks of the friars. The second, Rizal heard the good news from Mariano Ponce. And lastly, later on January 7, 1891, he wrote to Franz Garcia expressing his personal. Rizal's greatest achievements of London. The greatest achievement of Rizal in London was the annotating of Morga's book Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, which was published in Mexico 1609. British Museum Rizal spent many days in a reading room of the British Museum, poring over the pages of the book and laboriously reading the old stories of the Philippines. This picture is the British Museum. So, short visit to Paris and Spain. Early in 1888, Rizal visited Paris for a week in order to search for more historical materials, Bibliothèque Nationale. And on December 11, 1888, Rizal went to Madrid and Barcelona, Spain for the first time, and where Rizal met Marcelo del Pilar and Mariano Ponce, the two titans of propaganda movement. Christmas in London. Rizal returned to London on December 24 and spent Christmas and New Year's days with the Beckets. Rizal sent a Christmas gift of bust of Emperor Augustus which he had made to his friend Blumentritt. So to his other friend, Dr. Carlos Zipilac, Rizal gave a Christmas gift a bust of Julius Caesar. And to his landlady, Mrs. Becket, knowing of his interest in magic, Rizal gave a Christmas gift a book entitled The Life and Adventures of Valentin Vaux the Ventriloquist. Rizal becomes a leader of Filipinos in Europe. By unanimous vote of all the members, Rizal was chosen honorary president of society called Asociación La Solidaridad or the Solidaridad Association. This was regarding a leadership among of all Filipino patriots in Europe. So, Rizal and La Solidaridad newspaper. So, on February 15, 1889, Graciano Lopesina founded a patriotic newspaper called La Solidaridad in Barcelona, Spain, which aims to work peacefully for political and social reforms. Second, to portray the deplorable conditions of the Philippines so that Spain may remedy them. Third, to oppose the evil forces of reaction and medievalism. Fourth, to advocate liberal ideas and progress. Lastly, to champion the legitimate aspirations of the Filipino people to life, democracy, and happiness. Rizal's first article in La Solidaridad. It was published on March 25, 1889, 6 days after he left London for Paris. Rizal's first article in La Solidaridad was entitled Los Agricultores Filipinos, or The Filipino Farmers. Writings in London. Rizal received news on Fray Rodriguez' unbated attack on his Noli. In defense, he wrote a pamphlet entitled La Visión del Fray Rodriguez, or The Vision of Fray Rodriguez, which was published in Barcelona under his pen name Demas Alang in La Visión del Fray Rodriguez. He demonstrated two things, which is my profound knowledge of religion and my biting satire. So in London, Rizal wrote famous letter to the young woman of Malolos. In Tagalog, he penned it. Upon the request of Marcelo del Pilar to praise the young ladies of Malolos for their courage to establish a school where they could learn Spanish despite opposing the Father Felipe Garcia, Spanish priest of Malolos. Dr. Frost, editor of Trubner's Record, a journal devoted to ASEAN studies, requested Rizal to contribute some articles. In response to his request, Rizal prepared to his articles, which were published on June 1889. The first is the specimen of Tagal folklore, and the second is the two Eastern fables. So, romance with Gertrude Beckett. So, romance with Gertrude Beckett. So, Gertrude Beckett. He is the oldest of the three Beckett sisters. This is the picture of Gertrude Beckett. Romance with Gertrude Beckett. So Gertrude Beckett, he is the oldest of the three Beckett sisters. This is the picture of Gertrude Beckett. So Rizal, romance with Gertrude Beckett. So Gertrude Beckett, romance with Gertrude Beckett. So Gertrude Beckett, she is the oldest of the three Beckett sisters. This is the picture of Gertrude Beckett. So Gertrude Beckett is Gertrude Beckett Boxom in English, ag English girl with Gertrude Beckett. Ay, romance with Gertrude Beckett. So Gertrude Beckett, she is the oldest of the three Beckett sisters. This is the picture of Gertrude Beckett. So Gertrude Beckett Boxom, English girl with brown hair, blue eyes, and pink cheeks. Eldest of the three sisters. She was attracted to Rizal, and he had always loved to be with him in his painting and sculpture. Rizal had a romantic interlude with the oldest of the three Beckett sisters, Gertrude Beckett. So, their friendship drifted towards romance. Rizal affectionately called her Getty, and she fondly called him Patty. Days passed. Rizal realized that he could not marry Getty, for he had a mission to fulfill in life. As their flirtation was fast approaching the point of no return, Rizal suppressed the passionate yearning of his heart and decided to go away so that Getty may not forget him. So before Rizal living in London, Rizal finished 4 sculptural works. The first sculpture is the Prometheus Bond. Second, the Triumph of Death over Life. Third, a composite of carving of the heads of the Beckett sisters, gave as a farewell gift to the Beckett sisters. And the fourth one is the triumph of science over death. Rizal did not pursue his love for Gertrude because he was still in relationship with Leonor Rivera at the time and would not want to be unfaithful. So it was this romantic affair that drove Rizal to Paris in 1889, leaving London for he could. So in the middle of March 1889, Rizal departed for Paris. He was sad as he crossed the English Channel, for he had many beautiful memories of London. And this is what the chapter 14 contains. And that's all. Thank you.